Okay, let's journey back in time for an absolutely incredible story. We're talking about power, deception, and a really high-stakes confrontation that honestly shaped history. This is the story of the Sorcerer of Cyprus.
It's a question that feels like it's pulled straight out of a fantasy novel, right? What actually happens when a brand new, radical message of truth runs headfirst into the established power of sorcery and political influence? Well, we're about to find out.
And I want you to forget what you think of when you hear epic battle. We're not talking about legions and clashing steel here. In this story, the most intense, the most powerful conflicts, they were spiritual. They were fought with conviction, with belief, and with words that could literally change the world. Or, lead people dangerously astray.
So, to really understand this showdown, we first need to meet the key players and get a feel for the world they were trying to change. This is all about the mission.
Let's just set the scene for a second. Try to imagine a world with no social media, no internet, where news traveled only as fast as a ship or, more likely, a pair of sandals. The Roman Empire was the undisputed superpower, but underneath its iron grip, these intense spiritual battles were being fought constantly for the hearts and minds of everyone. And right into this world steps our main character, the Apostle Paul. Now, I love this description of him. Think of him as the original gospel influencer. Seriously, his entire mission was to travel the known world, sharing a message of truth he believed was worth absolutely everything, and he was ready to face down any obstacle that got in his way.
And that mission takes Paul and his partner Barnabas to the island of Cyprus. Now, this was not some sleepy little backwater town. It was a major hub of commerce and culture. But, and this is key, it was also a place just soaked in magic and superstition. People genuinely believed in these mystical powers, which, as you can imagine, made it a pretty fertile ground for deception.
As Paul and Barnabas traveled across the island, they knew they'd face some opposition. That was a given. But I don't think they could have expected this. Let's meet the man behind the magic.
And this is where the story just takes a wild turn. See, their obstacle wasn't just going to be a tough crowd or some philosophical debate. No, they were about to come face to face with a man who used magic as his primary weapon of influence, a real sorcerer.
So here we have it, our two opposing forces. On one side, you've got Paul. He's representing a completely new message of faith and what he calls divine power. And on the other side, the sorcerer, a guy named Elymas. He represents deception, sorcery, and, this is super important, political influence. This guy had the ear of the most powerful person on the entire island.
Okay, so the players are in place, the stakes are impossibly high, the stage was officially set for a direct confrontation. This is the moment everything has been building towards.
So here's what goes down. The proconsul, that's the Roman governor of Cyprus, he's actually interested in Paul's message. He wants to hear more, but Elymas, his trusted advisor, steps right in. He's actively trying to poison the well, to use all his influence to twist the truth and keep the governor from even considering it.
Paul does not hold back. It says he was filled with the Holy Spirit, and he just looks Elymas dead in the eye and calls him out, directly. He completely exposes the sorcerer's deception for what it is, calling him an enemy of everything that is right. Just wow.
But Paul doesn't just stop with those powerful words. Oh no, he moves to a declaration of divine power, announcing that God's judgment is coming for Elymas right then and right there.
And instantly, the script says, a mist and a darkness just fell over Elymas. Think about that. The man who dealt in illusions and trickery was suddenly plunged into literal darkness, completely blind, stumbling around, desperately looking for someone to lead him by the hand. The Roman governor witnessed this entire thing. He saw that the power of Paul's message wasn't just in his words, but in something tangible, something undeniable. Deception was struck down right in front of him, and in that moment, the governor believed. The showdown was over. Truth won.
So why does this ancient story from some Mediterranean island matter to us right now? That's a fair question. Let's dig into the takeaway because it's pretty relevant.
This story leaves us with some really powerful lessons. It shows that truth, in the end, is more powerful than deception. It reminds us that these spiritual battles for hearts and minds, they're just as real now as they were back then. It's a stark reminder that opposing the truth can have real consequences, and that a little boldness, a little real conviction, can change everything. And that brings us to our final thought. We might not be facing sorcerers in the street, but we live in an age of fake news, of digital deception, and all kinds of illusions. The battleground has changed for sure, but the fight for what's real, for what's true, that remains the same. So the question for us is, how do we stand for what's real in our own world?